Evergreen, with its idyllic streets and close-knit community, had always felt like a cocoon, shielding its inhabitants from the storms of the outside world. Daniel and I, with our seemingly perfect life, were often regarded as the embodiment of this serene existence. Our home, a charming Victorian at the heart of town, was the physical manifestation of our love, or so I believed. That fateful Thursday, the rain whispered secrets against the window panes, secrets that seemed intent on revealing themselves. Daniel had left early for work, his mornings increasingly consumed by urgent meetings that left little room for goodbye kisses or shared breakfasts. The loneliness of the house felt more pronounced in his absence, a silent testament to the growing distance between us. In search of a distraction, I ventured into Daniel's study, a space that was uniquely his, filled with the musky scent of old books and the faint hint of his cologne. It was here, amidst the clutter of his desk, that I found the envelope, an unassuming thing that contained the unraveling of our life together. The divorce papers, stark and unyielding, named Cassandra as the reason for the dissolution of our marriage. Her name, once a mere whisper in the corridors of our home, now screamed betrayal from the pages. The realization hit me like a physical blow, leaving me gasping for air in the suffocating silence of the room. I confronted Daniel that evening, the papers clutched in my trembling hands as I waited for him in the living room. The sound of his key turning in the lock was a prelude to the storm that was about to break. "Daniel," I began, my voice steady despite the turmoil within. "What is this?" I thrust the papers towards him, watching as his face transformed from surprise to resignation. He sighed, running a hand through his hair, a gesture of frustration I had come to know well. "I was going to tell you," he said, avoiding my gaze. "Cassandra and it just happened. I didn't plan for it." "How long?" The question was a whisper, laden with the weight of our shared history, of promises made and now broken. "Months," he admitted, finally meeting my eyes. "I'm sorry, I truly am. But this, it hasn't been right for a long time." The words were a death knell, signaling the end of everything we had built. In that moment, I saw the truth of our marriage, of the distance that had crept in unnoticed, eroding the foundation we had once thought unbreakable. "I don't even know who you are anymore," I said, the realization dawning on me as I spoke. The man before me was a stranger, his heart and future entwined with another's. Daniel reached out, a futile gesture aimed at bridging the chasm that had opened between us. "I never wanted to hurt you," he said, his voice tinged with regret. But the damage was done, and no words could mend the fractures of trust and love that had shattered under the weight of his betrayal. That night, under the cover of darkness, I left the home that was no longer mine, driven by a desperate need to escape the ruins of my life. The rain had stopped, leaving in its wake a silence that echoed the emptiness inside me. Evergreen, with all its charm and warmth, now felt like a prison, its familiarity a painful reminder of what I had lost. As I drove away, the lights of Evergreen fading in the rearview mirror, I realized I wasn't just fleeing from Daniel and his betrayal. I was searching for a place where the whispers of the wind spoke not of secrets and lies, but of hope and new beginnings. The journey ahead was uncertain, a path shrouded in the unknown, but it was a path I was determined to take, toward healing, toward rediscovery, and, ultimately, toward a life that was truly my own. The night wrapped around me like a cloak as I drove, the darkness punctuated only by the occasional passing car and the soft glow of my dashboard. The road ahead was a blur, my destination unknown, driven by an instinctual need to put as much distance as possible between myself and the life I was leaving behind. I wasn't sure how long I had been driving when the first light of dawn began to breach the horizon, casting the world in a soft, ethereal glow. The beauty of the sunrise was a stark contrast to the turmoil inside me, a reminder of the world's indifference to my pain. Exhaustion began to set in, both physical and emotional, as the adrenaline that had fueled my escape faded. I realized I needed to stop, to find somewhere to rest, somewhere to let the reality of my situation sink in. That's when I saw it, a small sign for the Whitetail Inn, partially hidden by overgrown foliage, pointing down a narrow, winding road. It seemed as good a place as any to pause my flight. The gravel crunched under my tires as I made my way down the tree-lined drive, the inn emerging from the morning mist like a scene from a fairy tale. It was a quaint, two-story building, its wooden facade weathered by time and the elements, but welcoming all the same. I parked the car and stepped out, stretching my cramped muscles and taking a deep breath of the crisp morning air. The silence was profound, broken only by the sound of birdsong and the rustling of leaves in the gentle breeze. The front door of the inn opened as I approached, revealing a woman in her late 60s, with kind eyes and a warm smile that reached all the way to her eyes. "Good morning," she greeted. "You must be exhausted. Come in, dear." I followed her into the cozy lobby of the inn, the warmth from the fireplace a comforting embrace. "I'm Martha," she introduced herself as she led me to a seat by the fire. "And you are?" "Anna," I replied, the name sounding foreign on my lips. It had been a long time since anyone had asked me who I was, rather than who I was with. Martha studied me for a moment, her gaze compassionate. "You look like you're running from something, dear," she said, not as a question, but as a statement of understanding. I sighed, the weight of my situation suddenly pressing down on me. "My husband, I began, but the words trailed off, the pain too fresh to articulate. Martha nodded, as if my unfinished sentence was enough. "You don't have to explain, dear. The Whitetail Inn has always been a refuge for those in need of one. You can stay here as long as you need." I was taken aback by her kindness, by the unconditional support offered by a stranger. "Thank you," I managed, my voice thick with unshed tears. "Let me show you to your room," Martha said, standing and leading the way upstairs. "You'll feel better after some rest." The room was simple but comfortable, with a view of the woods that surrounded the inn. "Breakfast is at 8, Martha said, pausing at the door. "But don't worry if you're not up. I'll save you some." As she left, closing the door softly behind her, I felt the first sense of peace since discovering Daniel's betrayal. The Whitetail Inn, with its creaking floors and the gentle kindness of its owner, felt like a sanctuary, a place where the whispers of the wind might just carry away the pain of the past. That morning, as I lay in the soft bed, watching the sunlight filter through the curtains, I allowed myself to cry, to mourn not just the loss of my marriage, but the loss of the life I had known. And as I cried, I began, slowly, to let go, to prepare myself for the journey ahead, a journey into the unknown, guided by the promise of new beginnings and the kindness of strangers. The Whitetail Inn, I realized, was not just a stop on my escape from Evergreen, it was the first step on my path to healing, a path that I would walk, one day at a time, towards a future that was mine to shape. The morning after my arrival at the Whitetail Inn brought a renewed sense of determination. Despite the turmoil that led me here, the tranquil setting and Martha's kindness provided a glimmer of hope. After a hearty breakfast, where Martha and I exchanged pleasantries and small talk about the inn's history, I decided to explore the surrounding woods. The wilderness called to me, offering a solace I hadn't realized I was seeking. The forest behind the inn was a dense tapestry of greens and browns, the canopy overhead a protective barrier from the world outside. I wandered aimlessly at first, allowing the natural beauty to envelop me. The soft rustle of leaves and distant bird calls a soothing balm to my frayed nerves. It was during one of these aimless wanderings that I stumbled upon Adam. He was seated on a fallen log, sketchbook in hand, completely absorbed in his work. I paused, not wanting to intrude, but the snap of a twig underfoot betrayed my presence. He looked up, his expression one of mild surprise that quickly morphed into a welcoming smile. "Hello," he said, closing his sketchbook. "I didn't expect to find anyone else out here." Embarrassed by my unintentional eavesdropping, I offered a small smile in return. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you." "I'm Anna," I introduced myself, feeling a strange connection to this stranger. "Adam," he replied, standing and extending a hand, which I shook tentatively. "Are you staying at the inn?" I nodded, suddenly feeling the weight of my story, unsure of how much to share. "Yes, just arrived last night." "It's a long story." Adam's eyes held a depth of understanding that surprised me. "We've all got our stories," he said, gesturing to the log beside him. Care to share yours? And so, I found myself pouring out my tale to this stranger in the woods, the words spilling out in a torrent of emotion I hadn't realized I'd been holding back. Adam listened intently, his expression one of empathy. When I finished, he offered a soft, "I'm sorry you're going through this. But sometimes, I think the universe sends us exactly where we need to be, even if it doesn't seem like it at the time." His words struck a chord within me, the simplicity of his perspective offering a new way to view my circumstances. "Maybe you're right," I conceded, allowing myself a moment of hope. "Maybe this is where I need to be." We spent the rest of the afternoon walking through the woods, sharing bits and pieces of our lives. Adam revealed he was a painter, seeking inspiration in the solitude of nature, a world away from the demands of the city, and a career that had left him feeling empty. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows through the trees, Adam stopped and turned to me. "You know, Anna, I believe everyone we meet on our path is there for a reason. Maybe I needed to meet you just as much as you needed to find this place." His words, simple yet profound, resonated with me, igniting a spark of connection I hadn't expected to find. In the quiet of the woods, with a man I had just met, I found a sense of understanding and acceptance that eluded me in the life I had left behind. As we made our way back to the inn, the last rays of sunlight filtering through the trees, I felt a sense of peace settle over me. The woods, with their timeless beauty and serene quiet, had offered me a refuge, a place to heal and reflect. And in Adam, I had found an unexpected ally, someone who understood the power of nature to soothe and heal. That evening, as I lay in my room at the Whitetail Inn, the events of the day replaying in my mind, I realized that my journey to healing had truly begun. The woods had whispered their secrets of resilience and new beginnings, and I was ready to listen. Over the next few days, the Whitetail Inn and the surrounding woods became more than just a temporary refuge, they started to feel like home. Each morning, I would join Martha for breakfast, enjoying her company and the stories she shared about the inn and its visitors over the years. And each day, I found myself looking forward to spending time with Adam, exploring the woods and discovering the peace that seemed to permeate every leaf and branch. One particularly beautiful evening, as the sun painted the sky in hues of gold and crimson, Adam and I found ourselves at the edge of a clearing, the last rays of light casting long shadows on the ground. We sat in comfortable silence, watching as the day gave way to night. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Adam broke the silence, his voice soft, reflective. "Nature has a way of putting everything into perspective." I nodded, my eyes still fixed on the horizon. I never realized how much I needed this peace. It's like I'm hearing myself think clearly for the first time in years. Adam turned to me, a gentle smile on his lips. "Sometimes, we get so caught up in the noise of our lives that we forget the music of our own souls. It takes a place like this to remember." His words resonated with me, stirring something deep within. "I used to think home was a place," I mused aloud. "Now, I'm not so sure. It feels more like a feeling. Like being at peace with yourself and the world around you." "That's a beautiful way to put it," Adam replied. "Home isn't just where you live, it's where you're understood." As we made our way back to the inn, our conversation drifted to our dreams and aspirations, the things we held dear, and the paths we wanted to take moving forward. It was during this walk that I realized how much I had changed since arriving at the Whitetail Inn. The betrayal and pain that had driven me here were still part of my story, but they no longer defined me. The following morning, I awoke to find a sense of clarity I hadn't felt in a long time. After breakfast, I sought out Martha, finding her in the garden, tending to her flowers. "Martha," I began, unsure of how to express the gratitude I felt. "I want to thank you for everything. This place, it's been a sanctuary for me." Martha straightened up, wiping her hands on her apron as she turned to face me. "My dear, seeing you begin to heal is thanks enough. This inn has always been a place of refuge, and I'm glad it could be that for you." I hesitated, the decision I had been pondering now at the forefront of my mind. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about the inn needing someone to carry on its legacy. I believe I want that person to be me." Martha's eyes lit up, a mixture of surprise and joy evident in her expression. "Are you sure, Anna? It's a big responsibility, running an inn." I nodded, more sure of this than I had been of anything in a long time. "I am. This place, it's helped me find a part of myself I thought was lost. I want to give others the same opportunity to heal and find peace." Martha embraced me, her hug warm and encouraging. "Then I can't think of anyone better suited for the task. We'll have a lot to discuss and plan, but I have no doubt you'll make the whitetail and thrive." As we parted, a sense of purpose filled me, a realization that my journey here was just beginning. The Whitetail Inn, with its creaking floors and warm fires, was not just a place of refuge, it was a place where new beginnings were born, where the whispers of the wind carried promises of hope and healing. And in that moment, I knew I had found my new rhythm, a harmony with the world around me that I had never experienced before. The future was uncertain, but it was a future I looked forward to with anticipation and hope, ready to embrace whatever came my way. As the days melted into each other, the Whitetail Inn and its surrounding wilderness became a sanctuary for my battered heart. Each morning, I awoke to the gentle symphony of nature, a reminder that life, despite its trials, continued with relentless beauty. My conversations with Adam deepened, his presence a comforting constant in the landscape of my healing. One such morning, after a night of restless thoughts, I found a note from Martha slipped under my door. The elegance of her handwriting hinted at the importance of its content, urging me to join her for breakfast. Curiosity piqued, I dressed quickly and made my way downstairs. Martha was already at the table, a spread of homemade scones, fresh fruit, and steaming coffee laid out before her. The morning light filtered through the windows, casting a warm glow on the wooden surfaces of the inn's cozy dining room. "Good morning, Anna," Martha greeted, her eyes twinkling with an unspoken excitement. "Please, have a seat." I joined her, the aroma of the coffee a welcome embrace. "Good morning, Martha. This looks wonderful," I said, gesturing to the breakfast before us. Martha poured us each a cup of coffee before sitting back, her gaze thoughtful. "Anna, I've been meaning to talk to you about something," she began, her tone serious yet tinged with warmth. I nodded, a flicker of apprehension stirring within me. "Of course, Martha. What's on your mind?" She took a deep breath, her hands clasping together on the table. "I've watched you these past few weeks, seen the changes in you. This place, the inn, it has a way of healing people, of giving them space to find themselves again." I listened, touched by her observation, unsure where this was leading. Martha continued, "I'm getting older, Anna. Running this inn has been my life's joy, but it's time for me to retire, to pass the baton to someone who can breathe new life into its walls." I felt a pang of sadness at the thought of Martha leaving the inn without her kind presence unimaginable. She reached across the table, placing a hand over mine. "I want you to consider taking over the Whitetail Inn, Anna. I believe you're the one to carry its legacy forward." The offer left me speechless, a whirlwind of emotions and thoughts colliding within me. "Martha, that's... I don't know what to say. I'm honored, but I'm not sure I'm the person for this." "Why not?" Martha pressed gently. "You have a way about you, a warmth and understanding that people gravitate towards. You've seen firsthand how this place can heal. Imagine being able to offer that to others." I pondered her words, the weight of the decision pressing down on me. The inn had become a refuge, a place of healing for my own wounded heart. Could I really step into Martha's shoes, offer that same sanctuary to others? "Think about it, Anna," Martha said, standing to clear the table. "You don't have to decide right now. But know that I wouldn't offer this if I didn't believe in you." The rest of the day passed in a blur, Martha's offer echoing in my mind. I found myself wandering the trails behind the inn, lost in thought. It was there that Adam found me, sitting by the stream, the murmur of the water a soothing backdrop to my tumultuous thoughts. "You look miles away," Adam remarked, taking a seat beside me. I smiled wryly. "Just pondering my future." He nodded, understanding. "Martha's offer?" I was surprised. "You know about it?" Adam chuckled. Martha doesn't keep many secrets from me. So, what are you going to do? I sighed, the enormity of the decision weighing heavily on me. I don't know, Adam. It's a big responsibility, a new path. But it's also a chance to give back, to make a difference in people's lives the way Martha has. Adam looked at me, his eyes earnest. Sometimes, the most unexpected paths lead us to where we're meant to be. You have a gift, Anna. This could be your way of sharing it with the world. His words, full of faith and encouragement, offered a new perspective. Perhaps this was my calling, my chance to forge a new identity, to turn my pain into purpose. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the stream, I realized that my journey of healing at the Whitetail Inn was leading me to a new beginning, not just for myself, but for those who would find refuge here in the future. The decision wasn't just about taking over an inn, it was about embracing my destiny, about stepping into a role that had been waiting for me all along. Thank you, Adam, I said, a sense of resolve settling over me. I think I know what I need to do. And in that moment, by the stream with the setting sun as our witness, I made my choice. I would take Martha's offer, step into the unknown, and breathe new life into the Whitetail Inn, continuing its legacy of healing and hope. It was a daunting path, but one I knew I was meant to walk, guided by the whispers of the wind and the strength of my own healing heart. The days following my decision to accept Martha's offer were a whirlwind of activity and emotions. The reality of taking over the Whitetail Inn felt both exhilarating and daunting. Yet, beneath the flurry of preparations, there was a profound sense of rightness, a confirmation that I was exactly where I needed to be. One evening, as the twilight cast a soft glow over the inn, Martha and I sat down in the living room, surrounded by old photographs and mementos of the inn's storied past. The room was bathed in the warm light of the fireplace, creating an ambience of warmth and nostalgia. Anna, Martha began, her voice tinged with emotion, I want to show you something. She handed me an old, leather-bound guest book, its pages filled with names and messages from travelers who had found refuge within these walls. As I flipped through the pages, I was struck by the profound impact the inn had had on so many lives. This is incredible, Martha. Each of these entries is a testament to the sanctuary you've created here. Martha smiled, her eyes misting over. The inn has always been more than just a place to stay. It's a haven for those in need of peace and healing. And I know you'll continue that legacy. Our conversation was interrupted by a knock at the door. I rose to answer it, finding Adam on the doorstep, a canvas under his arm. I thought this might belong here, he said, unveiling a painting of the Whitetail Inn, captured in the golden light of dawn. The painting took my breath away, the inn rendered with such care and detail that it seemed to pulse with life. Adam, it's beautiful. Thank you, I managed, overwhelmed by the gesture. It's my way of contributing to the inn's new chapter, Adam replied, his gaze meeting mine. And speaking of new chapters, he hesitated, a look of determination settling over his features. I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about making a difference and embracing new paths. I waited, sensing the importance of what he was about to say. I've decided to stay in Evergreen, Adam continued. To open a studio and gallery, to share my art with the world and maybe help others find their way through creativity. His decision filled me with joy, the prospect of sharing this journey with Adam adding a layer of completeness to my own new beginning. I think that's a wonderful idea. This town, the inn, it'll be richer for having your art as part of it. As we stood there, in the doorway of the Whitetail Inn, a sense of possibility enveloped us. The challenges ahead seemed less daunting, knowing we would face them together, each in our own way, contributing to the tapestry of healing and hope that the inn represented. Later that night, as I lay in bed, the soft whispers of the wind through the open window spoke of change and growth. The inn, with its creaking floors and gentle shadows, felt alive with potential. In taking on this responsibility, I wasn't just giving myself a new purpose, I was honoring the legacy of those who had come before me, weaving my own story into the fabric of this place. I realized then that my journey hadn't been about escaping the pain of my past, but about moving towards a future where that pain could be transformed into something meaningful. The Whitetail Inn was more than a building, It was a beacon of light for those lost in the darkness, a place where weary souls could find rest and, perhaps, a new direction. As sleep finally claimed me, I felt a deep sense of peace. The road ahead would be filled with challenges, but also with joy, growth, and the satisfaction of making a difference. The whispers of the wind, once a harbinger of change, now spoke of home, of belonging, and of a future bright with promise. And so, my story, which began with a heartbreak and a flight into the unknown, found its resolution in the embrace of the Whitetail Inn. Here, amid the towering trees and the winding paths of the countryside, I had discovered not just a new beginning, but a place where my heart, once fractured by betrayal, had found a way to heal and flourish. The inn, with its legacy of healing, was now mine to steward, a task I accepted with gratitude and determination, ready to face whatever the future held, guided by the whispers of the wind.